Even though the future is uncertain and unknowable, planning ahead can provide for better outcomes in 3 specific ways. I've got that and more coming up. I saw a comment recently in one of our videos, and I've seen the comment before. I've said this before and have heard other financial planners in my office say this before. If you knew exactly how long you were going to live, you could build the perfect financial plan. But you don't, right? We don't know that. We can't predict the future. You can't know the future. And so where does that leave planning? Sometimes it leads people to say, well, then planning's useless. You really shouldn't do it because there's no way you can predict the future, and therefore you can't plan ahead for it. Therefore, don't waste your time planning. The truth is that planning, even for an uncertain future, provides for better outcomes. It provides for better outcomes. I've seen it. I've lived it. I've done this now for more than 2 decades. Planning ahead, even though it doesn't help you predict the future or anticipate, well, this is going to happen, right? On Tuesday out there 5 years from now, XYZ is going to happen. It can't help you predict the future, but it can. Planning does lead to better outcomes. It helps you be prepared when life suddenly changes directions. It helps you capture opportunities when they suddenly materialize. And it helps you have clarity and confidence that you're taking the right steps in your financial life for long-term success. Early in my career, I was meeting with a newer client, and he owned a business, but then he also was a high school coach. He coached lacrosse at a local high school, and we were talking about things, and he admitted that we've had good income and we've had a good lifestyle, and we haven't made a ton of mistakes, and yet he really had never done planning and really didn't see the benefit for it. We were talking, I think, about making a retirement projection, and then we were also talking about saving up for an emergency fund. There were 2 different times during that conversation where he said, yeah, but how do you know? You don't know. I don't know the future. So, I'm not really sure that I should be making any changes or doing anything different today. And I told him, it just sort of like dawned on me, and I'd been playing sports and have coached now for several years, but playing sports all throughout my childhood. And I said, is there ever a time when you're leading a drill at practice, and would it ever make sense for one of your players to look to you and say, Coach, why are we doing this? You're going to say, well, it's because this might come up in a game. We're working on this very thing. We're working on this very drill because it might come up in the game, and you want to be prepared. And as soon as I brought that up, you could just see his countenance change. He got it immediately. We don't know the future. And that doesn't mean that planning isn't important. It does help you prepare for what could lie ahead. And one of those things is the inevitable changes that are going to occur in your life and in your financial life. If you are doing planning, if you are planning ahead, then when life throws you a curveball, when a sudden change comes up, could be to your health, could be the health of a family member, it could be to your job, it could be to your home. When life inevitably changes, planning ahead is going to help you be more prepared. When you're looking at managing risk, things like having an emergency fund in place, even having the right cash flow operating system, funding your retirement at a certain level so that just in case life changes, you've been consistent with your contributions up until then. Having the right risk management, so the right life insurance and the right home and auto insurance, disability insurance, those sorts of things. Even the right estate plan, so that when life throws you a curveball, even though you don't know exactly when or how or what actually will happen, you are more prepared because of the planning process. You've done the fire drills, you've thought through the potential risks, and you've taken some steps so that you're in a better condition when life inevitably changes. That's one of the ways that planning leads to better outcomes. But the other one is a little bit more fun, and that is where you're able to capture more opportunities. Whether it's a tax planning opportunity, retiring early, no matter what it is, planning ahead gives you more ability to capture opportunities. Right now, as I'm recording this video, not sure when you're consuming it, but it is tax season, and we're on the heels of a lot of tax law changes, both in the past 5 to 6 years, but even in the past 5 to 6 months, right? We're still digesting a lot of the OBBBA tax law changes. And for the financial planning clients that we've been working with, it is their tax returns are in stark contrast to the returns that we're doing for folks that just have us prepare their taxes. They're not doing planning. The folks that are not doing planning, are maybe seeing more senior deduction or some more deductions for no tax on overtime, or maybe they're itemizing their taxes and they hadn't the year before, and that's great. But for many of them, it's pushing them into a lower tax bracket. They're getting a bigger refund, and while that might feel like a win, compare that to the folks that we're doing planning with. And the folks that we're doing planning with, that senior deduction of an extra $12,000, we did a Roth conversion and filled up the 12% tax bracket, and we'll never have to pay tax on those dollars again. Those that are itemizing, we made sure we adjusted their withholdings, and instead of getting a bigger refund, they had more cash in their pocket or kept more dollars in their investments, earning interest and growing for them. And speaking of capturing opportunities, it's not just on taxes, right? Where there's tangible dollars that you save, thousands of dollars over your lifetime and maybe multiple lifetimes, but also jumping on an opportunity for either a new job, opening your own business, or being able to retire at a time that you didn't plan for. I know this is going back to COVID, but these circumstances happen all the time, have a ton of stories. But one that's coming to mind is I had a teacher who we'd been working the plan for retiring, and during COVID, the plan was she wasn't going to retire for another 3 years, and yet with all of the changes going on with the remote school and all that sort of stuff, and the stress of that, she was worried about her health, but also worried about all the changes coming down. And she said, "Am I able to retire at the end of this school year? Am I able to be done?" And we updated the plan. They were far enough ahead, and we reviewed all of the variables again and said, you are able to retire right now. Last year in the fall, where an individual, their employment situation changed. I'll say it more candidly. They got a new boss. And it was just, they were just butting heads, and they weren't getting along. And so this individual was planning to work a little bit longer. And after just giving it enough time that he said, "This is not going to work. Can I be done?" And updating his plan. And you can. If you're not planning ahead, when you face that opportunity, I would love to be done, and you might not be prepared, right? Planning ahead, even though it doesn't help you predict the future, helps you be more prepared and leads to better outcomes. And then finally, so many people define financial success as balance. And I'd be one of them, right? If financial success was you're not allowed to spend any money today, you've got to save it all for the future. Well, listen, you're not promised tomorrow. Right? So you're sacrificing a ton, which you need to sacrifice. But if you're not having any experiences, if you're not doing anything today, it's all deferred, likely you're not going to be satisfied. Likely you're not going to call that financial success. The opposite's true as well. If you're spending everything today and not saving for anything in the future, likely it's unsustainable. Likely you've got some concerns. It's not sustainable either. Likely you're not going to define that situation as financial success. Balance, both having some sacrifice, but also some experiences today, while also saving up for the future so that you can do the same thing. And that planning ahead, make sure that you have clarity and confidence that you're taking the right steps in your financial life to have that balance. Not perfectly. There are going to be seasons where it's going to feel like more sacrifice, where you're going to need to say no to some things that you really, really want to say yes to, or the opposite, and you might need to sacrifice a little bit of your future plans and future goals. But having the clarity and confidence that you're taking the right steps today based on where you are today and your goals today, that's going to lead to better outcomes, even though it's an unknowable future. I want you to have confidence in the face of an uncertain future in comprehensive financial planning, looking at all 6 areas of your financial life today, and then aligning those with your goals and with the financial decisions you're making today. That doesn't help you predict the future, but it helps you be prepared. And it helps lead to better financial outcomes. So work with your certified financial planner on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.